Hi, Cheryl from Garden in the Burrow. So today I had big plans to get a whole bunch of stuff done out in the garden, but it's not going to happen. So, sorry, the dogs were just creating mayhem. We went away last week. We went hiking up in the White Mountains, and it was beautiful, except there was absolutely zero fall foliage color. Much better here. I'm going to show you some pictures. I'll insert some pictures of some of what our fall foliage looks like maybe at the end of this video. But anyway, we had gone up hiking, and while we were gone, two very sad things happened. One was that our pool got closed and covered, and the second is that we had a frost and a freeze. So we came back, and a whole bunch of stuff needs to be cut back, and a whole bunch of things need to be done around the garden. But then immediately after our return, we had a nor'easter. And for those of you who don't live in New England, you might not be familiar with a nor'easter, which is like a windy, rainy storm. Sometimes it's snow if it's in the winter, and it's rain if it's in the fall. And we get northeastern winds and really lots of rain. And this one was a doozy for our area as far as rainfall goes. So I'm in this little garden, and I decided to get in this little rose, and I'll show you a picture of it in a second. And I am standing, and I can feel how wet the ground is underneath me. So I don't want to be in any of my gardens because I know I'm compressing the soil. But anyway, this area where I put this rose in, which is a landscape rose called At Last, and I'll do a close-up of this. But this area I had prepped before we left. I was waiting for this plant to arrive, and so it was already ready. All I needed to do was get it in the ground and put this little cage on here, which is good because I saw a rabbit out here this morning. So I got this into the ground in this one little spot, and now I'm going to pretty much try and stay out of the gardens. The only thing I am going to do is right behind me is the salvia. I was talking about some of these salvias, and they certainly got hit pretty hard by the freeze/frost. So I'm going to dig them out right now and get them ready to go into dormancy in my basement. So I got the stuff ready for that, and I'm going to do that. And I also have some daffodils and tulips that I'm going to plant. I'm going to be doing all things that really keep me out of standing in a garden. So anything that I'm going to be working on, I'm going to be standing on our hardscape mostly, and hopefully not do too much damage here in the garden. So that's the plan. And again, I'll put some fall foliage video at the end of this. That's what's going to happen today. All right, so this is Salvia Phyllis Fancy that I just took out of the ground. Look at me, I even put a label with it. So anyway, I'm going to try and overwinter this, and so I'm going to root prune it a little bit. Not too bad. I'm going to make sure there's no weeds coming in the house or bugs. So I'm going to get as much off of the root ball as I can. And then I'm going to cut it back, prune it up, and put it in some potting soil. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I'm planning for this garden. So I'm going to put some tulips in, and I'm also going to be taking out the dahlias that got hit by freeze. And you'll notice, I think you can see behind me, but at least you could in the beginning, you could see the tree behind me, which is a maple. And I think it was called October Glory. It's a sugar maple. It's beautiful. And I use a lot of orange in the garden, and in this garden, in the pool area garden. I shouldn't say in the garden, because this is really the only garden that I use orange in. And I love the way orange looks against the fence in here. So most of the flowers that bloom in these gardens around me are purple, light yellow, and a little bit of white. And then I started adding in some orange a few years ago. And I'm just going to overwinter these, by the way, in nursery pots in my cellar. So I started adding in orange, and I started, oh, that fits perfect. Right to the side of me, there's some butterfly weed, which looks gorgeous. Then I started adding in little bits of annuals in orange. And this year I'm going to add tulips and daffodils. The daffodils that are planted in here are a variety whose name I'm going to put on the screen because I don't know if you say Delnashaw. I don't know how you say the name of it. But they have quite a bit of apricot color in them. And I love that color against this fence. So I add a lot of orange in this area, but honestly, other than here in this pool area, there is not a lot of orange anywhere in my garden. It is 100% not my favorite color. I just like it here in this garden because of it, the way it looks up against this fence. So my plan is to add some more. Wow, these are coming out really easily. I'm actually pretty surprised about that. I hope these overwinter because I really, really liked them. I thought they were absolutely beautiful. And if they don't overwinter, I'm definitely going to be purchasing some more in the spring. But I'm also think next year, if I do buy them, I will grow them in containers because here, everything gets off to a much slower start in the ground than they do in containers. So if I do grow them, I'm absolutely going to put them, oops, we need to trim more of these roots. I am absolutely going to grow them in containers, not so much in the ground. They just have to be big containers, but that's okay. All right, good start. I have 2 more salvias over there to grab. I got to find that label I had. And then I'm going to head over to do the daffodils and tulips, which I'm going to do in containers underneath the pavilion over there. All right, so I'm out here underneath this is a pavilion that sits on the side of the pool. And there's an earlier video where we purchased these pots earlier this season and we filled them with these Fats Hedera. I guess they're a vine. I don't know. They're a beautiful ivy Fatsia hybrid, and they went in already for the winter. They're in my office right now. So I thought I would plant them up since these are going to be empty for the winter with tulips and daffodils. So this is the blend I'm using. I got them from Bluestone Perennials, and they're supposed to bloom at the same time. And daffodils are great out here in the pool area, but tulips are really tough because of the rabbits. So we had a whole bunch of tulips all over the place last year, and we didn't get really any blooms. And they just chomped them off as soon as they came up. So I'm hoping with these containers, which are pretty tall, they're about 2 feet tall, they won't be able to get to them. So I'm going to plant these up in these containers and hopefully have them for the spring. All right, so there's my bulbs, and I'm going to backfill it. So the second one is over here. So I'm going to put some potting soil in here and fill them up. I am not worried about these being out. I'm going to back out. It's a little messy in here. I'm going to back out so you can see that we're totally undercover here. Where these are, they're totally going to be undercover all winter long. But with tulips and daffodils, actually with tulips, the less rot, the better. So the more moisture on them, the harder time they have, but also they will be fine under cover all winter. I've done pots of daffodils and tulips on my covered porch and filled them and brought them in the house to force. So they're fine under here for the winter. So I got one done with all the bulbs in it. I just need to put the rest of the soil on, and then I'll go do the other one, and then we'll check back in spring. All right, this is another plant that arrived with that rose, and this is a false hydrangea vine. They're now going to be called hydrangea hydrangioides, and you can see all the little buds on there. So this arrived just before we left also, and I'm going to plant it out back, and while we're walking that way, we'll look at some stuff. But I'm also going to mention something on my way back. Let me go back and show you what I just did. So that in this bowl was actually holding water for a container plant, is a morning glory vine. And you can see right there, there is a whole bunch of seed pods. So I'm going to see if I can get one out. So in here are all seeds, and this morning glory was a blue variety. I don't know the name of it because it was in a mix. So I'm going to see what viable seed I can find in there. But I'm also going to come over to where I had some morning glory growing over in this garden that's also gone past. And you can see it right there. And there's a whole bunch of seeds on there. So I'm going to come in here after I get this planted in the ground, and I'm going to take whatever seeds I can find. This is a morning glory called Split Second. It's beautiful. And the seeds are, there we go. The seeds are already popping out and landing on the ground. So I save a bunch of them, of course, for next year. But the other thing that I do, and I'll pot some up in the house and I'll do a little video on them in the wintertime, is when I come out to save seeds off of them, especially if I love the variety. And again, this is Split Second. I'll link the video that I talk about this plant. I'm going to put these right into a little pot, a little decorative pot in my house. These absolutely will grow inside your house if you have a sunny window. And so if you plant them now and get them going while there's still some pretty decent sunlight in the next month, you're going to end up with morning glory vines. And if you have like a picture window or a big window, oh, there's a dog stuff, then you'll be able to have morning glories growing up and around it. And that's what I do. So here's all the salvia that I pulled inside that I have to finish filling, and also Josina. But we're going to head back to where this is going in the ground. Boy, I love when I make like huge messes and then I go inside and leave them. My grandkids were here. That's why there's soccer balls and all sorts of stuff outside today. So while we're walking back, we're going to take a look at this back garden. I don't know if it's still blooming, but one of the roses I had put in, yep, it is. One of the roses I had put in started throwing out flowers. Well, let's see. Makes me so happy to see everything settled in here so well in this new garden. But also, we have to always look at this there's just no getting around it. You have to look at this in the fall, this holly. The berries on it are just so stunning. I know it's weird to do zoom ins, but I'm doing it anyway. Because again, I don't want to step on my garden because the soil is soaking wet. It rained for most of Sunday afternoon, all the way through Monday, and all the way through part of yesterday. So the ground is really, really wet. So I don't want to be stepping in it. But where we're going, let me zoom back out. Certainly don't need a hose right now, is back here. Oh, look, Sheffield moms have started. That's sweet. So they're just starting to come into bloom. How cute. Isn't it funny? This didn't even get touched even the tiniest little bit by the weather. All right, so we're going back here. So where this is going to go, ooh, we better get some of these leaves off of here, is right up against this fence. So I had already augmented all the soil here when I added in the pulmonaria and the boxwood. So I already have good dirt in here, so I don't have to do much except get this in the ground and then give it a rabbit protector and then give it a chance to grow. I'll just kind of pan into the back. All right, so I'm going to do that. And then see where the day takes me after that. So one of the things that I can get done in a lot of areas of the garden are cutting back peony. So because I can access a lot of the gardens where the peony are from pathways and I'm not actually stepping in them, this is a must-do to prevent foliar diseases for as long as possible with this plant. You can see this one is in the grips of powdery mildew right now. That's that white coating on there. They can also get other fungal diseases on their leaves, so always best to cut peony and they don't end up in the compost and they don't stay in the garden and they go into the trash. I don't do them all at once, and you can see why here. This one was starting to get a little fall color. This one's fall color is totally different, but on ones like this one right here that are still holding on to quite a bit of their fall color and there's no evidence right now of anything alarming, I'm going to leave them for a little bit longer and they will definitely get cut and thrown in the trash and not the compost, but just not yet because they're providing a little bit of fall color here. But the ones that are definitely, you can see, have powdery mildew are just going to, they just look terrible and they're going to get cut. So I cut all of them. I have maybe 50 something, but they all get cut before winter. They never get left over the winter, even if I leave a bunch of other things. So I'm going to get that done today too.